Welcome into another episode of Locked On Phillies. In today's episode, we have our first big blockbuster trade of the offseason. Juan Soto has been traded to the New York Yankees. How does it affect the Philadelphia Phillies? We'll break that down, as well as evaluating Jose Alvarado's 2023 season for the Phillies, one of the best lefty relievers in all of baseball. A lot to get into on today's episode of Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm Connor Thomas, your host. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate it. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube. Anyone who's done that already, thank you so much. For those of you waiting, it costs you no money. It takes 2 seconds. It gets you new notifications when episodes are posted. It's the best way to keep up on everything going on with the Philadelphia Phillies and with us here on Locked On Phillies. And we're very close to 2,000 subscribers. So appreciate everyone who's helping us get closer every day to that benchmark achievement. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I promise you won't regret it. So I appreciate y'all tuning in for today's episode. Where we start today, we had a blockbuster move in baseball yesterday as Juan Soto was moved from the San Diego Padres to the New York Yankees. I mean, it's just classic Yankee stuff, right? They had a couple years there where they were not the typical go out and get top stars type of organization anymore. Really, since the Giancarlo Stanton move, I guess Garrett Cole was after that, but it was few and far between. And I'm just thinking about the 08, 09, 2010 Yankees, the 09 Yankees that beat the Phillies in the World Series. It seems like every offseason they would go out and just, I don't know, sign 3 or 4 major guys and throw crazy money at them. But the Yankees have absolutely gone all in here. They went and got Juan Soto. We knew he was available. I told you multiple times, Soto to the Phillies, not realistic. This team does not make frivolous moves. They'll spend money on guys. They'll absolutely spend money, and they'll make big trades if they have to. But for positions of need, and there wasn't a true position of need when it came to Juan Soto. There wasn't a clear, okay, this is how he fits. I know this might sound crazy with how talented he is, but the point is, it's just you have all this money committed to players already. So it would have to be you have an outfielder that you completely can't play, you don't trust, you have a wide open spot for him to just shift into the outfield and you're good. I mean, your outfield, you have multiple guys who could play out there, and I'd be looking at more of a fringe addition than Juan Soto. I mean, that's a huge move, and I never expected the Phillies to be in on them. He ends up in New York with the Yankees. So the Yankees received Juan Soto and Trent Grisham in this trade. The Padres get Michael King, Drew Thorpe, Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito, and catcher Kyle Higashioka. Now, a lot of prospects and everything in that trade. The Padres actually did pretty good getting guys back, and they're in full rebuild mode now. Sounds like Jake Cronenworth might also be available via trade. Now, you probably have in the Philadelphia Phillies Bryce Harper, the best first baseman in baseball. Honestly, you probably have the best when you look at full package. Defensively, he's getting used to the position still. But, are you playing anybody over Bryce Harper right now? I'm not. So you're not going to look at acquiring a first baseman. What this news means for the Phillies, though, Soto's out of the National League. That's a good thing. The more talent that can go to the American League, the better. Now, the Yankees could be a juggernaut, but hopefully that's something that if they have a really good season, you get to worry about that in late October in the Fall Classic. If you got to play a tough team in the American League in the World Series, well, that's just like every other year. There are tough teams in the postseason and in the World Series. That's just kind of how it works. So getting a guy, the talent level of Juan Soto, out of the league for the National League, it's always a positive thing for the Philadelphia Phillies. It's also pushing the Padres into a rebuild. They may dump even more talent. Who knows what's going on over there. And maybe Blake Snell now less interested in re-signing. Tatis, what's his future over there? They just signed Bogarts last offseason. Is he going to get to a situation where he tries to force his way out? Manny Machado, how much longer is he going to be there? It will be an interesting reaction to San Diego. This is not just a one-move type of thing. This is a move that kickstarts the next era of Padres baseball, which is a rebuild, I believe. So the more rebuilding teams in the National League, the better for the Philadelphia Phillies, the better chance they have to stack wins in the regular season, have good playoff seeding, make deep playoff runs. It's a good thing. This trade is good for the Philadelphia Phillies in a roundabout way. Now, a little bit of other news from yesterday. People were excited to hear Craig Kimbrel has he has signed a deal not with the Philadelphia Phillies. That's the most important part. Craig Kimbrel gone, no longer a member of the Philadelphia Phillies. We knew they were not going to want to re-sign him, but there were a bunch of the thank you posts on social media from Phillies social media, and everyone was making fun of him. But he goes to the Orioles, 1 year, $13 million. There's an option on the back end of that. It's a team option for 2025 for $13 million or a $1 million buyout. So Craig Kimbrel, no longer the Phillies' problem. He's going to Baltimore, which is a contending team. So it shows you that some teams out there still value Craig Kimbrel, but there was never a thought that he was going to come back. So Craig Kimbrel gone. Rhys Hoskins in talks with the Chicago Cubs. No deal done for Rhys Hoskins yet. The Craig Kimbrel deal is done. Rhys Hoskins is in conversations with the Chicago Cubs to potentially go there and play. I wouldn't hate that for Rhys. I feel like that would be a fun organization, maybe a competitive one, right on the cusp. Maybe you can get them to where they need to be. I want Rhys Hoskins to go to a spot that's good for Rhys Hoskins. And, yeah, he's in talks with the Cubs, so we'll see if he ends up there. So a couple of moves that did happen, the Soto trade, Kimbrel signed. One that could happen soon with Rhys Hoskins getting everything squared away with Chicago to potentially sign there. And the winter meetings are officially over. So you had a flurry of hot stove moves. Now you're going to see a bit of a dip, a bit of a cool down in the MLB off season and the way that players are signed or traded or anything like that. Shohei Ohtani still on the market. Blake Snell still on the market. Dylan Cease has not been traded yet. There are a lot of guys that are still out there that could potentially be in the market for the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't see the Phillies doing anything big for a while, though. This is going to be like I'm trying to think of the right analogy. They're going to be like the turkey vultures of the MLB offseason because they have the ability to be. They don't need to go make a big splash move. They brought back Nola. That's good. Now when all of the big moves are done, they're going to be, for lack of better words, scraps in this analogy. They're going to be players left that, for whatever reason, other organizations didn't value. They're not huge splash moves, but they're still out there simply because maybe their position had a strong group of players available in this free agency. And the Phillies are going to go pick at that and say, okay, maybe we'll add another starter here. Maybe we'll add another bench bat here. Maybe we'll add another outfielder here. And maybe we'll add a couple relievers here. Like that stuff that's going to happen later, though, after the market's already completely developed. Right now, the market is still settling itself. We had their first big pop, and that always happens around the winter meetings. And now everything's going to kind of slowly churn down over the next week or so as we draw further from the winter meetings. And you're going to hit that kind of dead time around the holidays in late December, early January, where you're looking at not a lot of moves. And the Phillies will probably be looking late January, early February is probably when they're going to be more active, when guys become available, or not guys become available, but guys remain available, and it becomes clear that they're not getting interest from other teams that they thought they should. So that's just a little update, a huge move, and a couple of interesting things with former Phillies, with Craig Kimbrel signing with the Orioles and Rhys Hoskins potentially going to the Cubs. But the big news of the day, Juan Soto to the Yankees, a haul of prospects back to the Padres, and now one of the better hitters in baseball is out of your league. That is a positive for the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, coming up, speaking of Craig Kimbrel moving on, well, there's a guy on the Philadelphia Phillies roster who might step into that spot. Jose Alvarado had a strong 2023 season, and we're going to evaluate a guy that's a very interesting case, a very talented pitcher, but one that sometimes can drive you insane. How was Jose Alvarado in 2023? Well, we're going to break that down the rest of this episode as we continue Locked On Phillies. First, though, I want to tell you about my friends over at FanDuel. You can score this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Seems simple, right? If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's absolutely no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options. You can bet spreads, player props, over-unders, futures, parlays, all that good stuff. And you can do all of that with $150 in your account if you just make a $5 money line bet and your team wins. Now, tonight, Thursday Night Football, you've got a doozy of a game. Not really. You've got Patriots Steelers. This game's going to stink. But if you think that, oh my goodness, well, the Steelers were almost in playoff contention and the Patriots are fighting for the #1 overall pick, might be a good time to bet that $5 on the Steelers. I don't know. That would be what I would do. And then you could win $150 if the gold and black win tonight's game. So keep an eye out for that. But there's a lot of ways. You could bet on college basketball. You could bet it on the college football playoff, all this stuff. Find a way to make some money on FanDuel because there's a billion different ways. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Keep the NFL season going right because FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. All right, let's break down Jose Alvarado's 2023 season. And this is a very interesting season for Alvarado. He was outstanding in 2023. His ERA, 1.74. That is the lowest mark of a season in his career. He was unbelievable. And why was he so good? Because he married the movement and the stuff that he's always had with just significantly better control. When you look at the amount of walks he had this year, Jose Alvarado had 18 walks. That's unreal. In 2021, his debut year with Philly, 47 walks. 2022, 24 walks. 18 walks this year with that kind of stuff is unbelievable. 64 strikeouts. That's crazy. 64 strikeouts to 18 walks at a total of 41 1/3 innings pitched. I mean, it's unbelievable. He only had 8 earned runs all year. This is what we call absolute domination. He also had his 3rd lowest whip of a season ever. So he was allowing minimal base runners in general. 0.7 home runs per night. He just doesn't give up home runs. The total number of home runs allowed this year, he allowed 3, which is actually somewhat higher than his average. I mean, you're looking at it. Actually, it's right on his 162 game average. Normally, he's right around that 2 or 3 mark. So on par year for Jose Alvarado. But the biggest uptick for him was, like, we know he's got unbelievably nasty stuff with the cutter at like 99 that just bites down in on righties and having the ability to throw gas 101, 102 anytime you want to is just an unbelievable asset to have out of the bullpen. And when you can take that and not only have the ability to throw those pitches, but the ability to throw those pitches for strikes, or when you're not throwing them for strikes, to spot it in a place where guys are going to swing through it. Jose Alvarado made a huge step this year in the right direction when it came to his ability to pitch. And people worry about the walks, right? People are like, oh, he gets wild. Sometimes he'll throw a ball to the backstop. I mean, you look at it, 18 walks this year. He was as good at not walking players as he's ever been in his career. Like, that's an unbelievable effort by Jose Alvarado. He hit 0 batters. So it's not like he was going crazy. In 2021, just 2 years ago, he walked 47 guys and he hit 7 batters. This year, he walked 18 guys and he hit none. Like, the growth that Jose Alvarado has shown as a member of the Philadelphia Phillies is unbelievable. Frankly, he's one of the best left-handed relievers in all of baseball. He's clutch. So in big moments, you know you can trust Jose Alvarado. And I think he's the best reliever in this bullpen. I really do. If you have any doubts about that, I think he 100% proved that in the 2023 season with his performance. He had a string where he had, like, struck out, I forget what the exact number was, but to start the year, and actually it might have rolled over to last year, he had struck out like 11 or 12 batters in a row. Like, he's just he's unhittable. He really is. When he's on, he's unhittable. And he's the only guy in the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen that makes me feel that way. Him and Sir Anthony Dominguez have this saying, strike one, strike two, good luck. Because their put-away pitches are just so hard to hit. Now, Dominguez did not have a great year. Eventually, we're going to evaluate his 2023 season and have a frank discussion about whether he's washed or not. But Jose Alvarado is 100% not washed. No, he's better than he's ever been. And at 28 years old, he's got a long time before he's not in his prime as a reliever. Now, he's signed through the 2025 season. So he's got this year and next year. And that was only a 3-year contract. Now he has an option, a team option in 2026 that I imagine the team will exercise because it's 3 years, $22 million in total. That's a steal for Jose Alvarado. So he shouldn't hit free agency until 2027. And that would really take him. So let's say that's 3 more years. That would take him through his age 31 season. You could re-sign him for a little bit at that point. You could let him walk if you have younger guys come up and build into the bullpen. But Jose Alvarado is going to be here a while, has really good stuff, is a really good late game pitcher, a lefty specialist. I mean, he's the best bullpen pitcher you've had on this team. He is. He's one of the best bullpen pitchers I've seen the Phillies have ever. Like, he is a bona fide stud. I cannot believe, and I got to double check this. Yeah, I cannot believe that Jose Alvarado has not been an all-star yet. This year, he had an injured list stint in the first half of the year, or I think he would have been an all-star. But it's very deserved for him to be an all-star at some point in his career, and maybe next year's the year he gets it. This year was probably a year he should have gotten it, but due to injury, he wasn't chosen. Craig Kimbrel instead got the nod from the bullpen, which Alvarado's much better than Craig Kimbrel at this point in their careers. But you look at Jose Alvarado, and the one question is usage, the amount of innings he's had available. 41 1/3 this past year, missed some time due to injury. 51 the year before, 55 2/3 the year before. I don't love that he's trending downward in the amount of innings you're able to use him. That's the only drawback of Jose Alvarado. The numbers are getting better. The strikeout to walk ratio, the number of walks, the ERA, all of that stuff is starting to look much, much better. He's looking like an elite pitcher by those numbers. But when you look at the availability of Jose Alvarado, that would be my only question when it comes to him. Can he get to a place where he's less injury prone, I guess? But for a guy like him, like, that's the downside of the velocity chase, right? There's been this crazy, crazy formula in baseball over the past, 6-7 years where, and I think it really started with Aroldis Chapman. I think that was the eye-opener, and that was before 6 or 7 years. He's been around for a minute. But when Aroldis Chapman started pumping 104 and untouchable, there became this speed chase where you were trying to find just guys that throw 101 and don't care if they're a good pitcher or not, don't care if they have a secondary pitcher or not. We'll teach them one. Let's just go get guys that throw hard. And velocity became the number one chase factor for Major League Baseball pitching staffs. You wanted guys that threw hard, and you'll figure out the rest after that. Whether you agree with that or not, I don't totally agree with it, but that's the trend of where baseball has gone over the past, let's call it the past decade. But what comes with throwing harder is a couple of things. First off, you got to find guys that can throw hard accurately. That's tough to do. Jose Alvarado has made a big jump in that, which is why I was so impressed by his 2023 season. But the other thing is wear and tear is totally different. Think about it. If you drive your car 20 miles an hour everywhere all the time, that car is going to last until, kingdom come. If you drive your car 100 miles an hour everywhere, that car is going to last a lot less time, and there's going to be more wear and tear, and you're going to have it in the shop every once in a while and stuff like that. That's kind of what's happening with these guys. They throw harder, so there's more wear and tear on the body and the tendons, ligaments, more time on the injured list, more time missing from the team. So it's just kind of a natural part of being one of those guys that throws with significant velocity, but it's something that it's the only concerning thing about Jose Alvarado, making sure he's available as much as he needs to be for this team to utilize him properly. But when he's available, he's one of the best left-handed relievers in baseball. So here's my question coming up as we wrap up, looking forward in Jose Alvarado's time here in Philadelphia. Craig Kimbrel left. So Could Jose Alvarado step into the closer role for the Philadelphia Phillies? It doesn't sound like the Phillies are going after Josh Hader, so they're not going to go out and get one of the top closers on the market. But could Jose Alvarado be an in-house option at closer? We'll discuss coming up as we wrap up Locked On Phillies. All right, this is going to be super simple because I've got Jose Alvarado's career pitching splits, and we're just going to go to the ninth inning and see how it compares to just his overall numbers for his career. So we're going to show splits by inning, and we're going to see basically how he does in the ninth inning. So let me just go show by inning. Ninth inning career stats. So he's thrown 56 times in it, or 56 innings, I should say, in the ninth inning. He has a 2.89 ERA. Now, how does that compare? In the eighth inning, he's got a 4.03 career ERA. Seventh inning, 3.04 career ERA. 3.24 in the fifth. Like, basically, where you're going to employ Jose Alvarado, the numbers that really matter are the seventh, eighth, and ninth innings. Seventh inning, 3.04 career ERA. Eighth inning, 4.03 career ERA. Ninth inning, 2.89 career ERA. So I don't know. I look at that and I say he's better in the ninth inning than those other three. Now, the sixth inning, for example, like this is why this doesn't matter. The sixth inning in his career, he has a 2.21 ERA. But those are super variable in what type of innings those are. Sometimes it's a blowout. Sometimes you're up 10, you're down 10. Your starter's already been chased. You're deep into the pen. You're the fourth guy to throw. Like the sixth inning is not always a high leverage inning. Normally, when you have a guy of Jose Alvarado's caliber, the seventh, eighth, and ninth innings, they're in the game because it's a high leverage situation. So that's why I look at those three innings more. And listen, ninth inning, he's been really, really good. Best ERA of the three high leverage innings. Strikeout to walk ratio in the ninth inning, 2.53. It's the second best mark of any of the high leverage innings that we were talking about. Batting average, 198, second best mark. I mean, he's good in the seventh inning as well, but like he's clearly able to withstand the pressure of a big spot. Here's my question. Why wouldn't Jose Alvarado be your closer? If he's shown consistency in being able to spot the ball, not walking too many guys, which he showed this past year, if he has complete closeout stuff, if he doesn't give up a lot of home runs, he's got plus velocity, he has a great out pitch, why wouldn't you have him? Like, I don't understand what would restrict Jose Alvarado from being the closer next year for this team. That's what I would do if I was the Philadelphia Phillies. And I'm not going after Josh Hader. Now, I would go after Josh Hader, and I'd just make him the closer. But if you're not going to do that, and it seems the Phillies are not going to do that, Jose Alvarado is getting the call from me. I'm saying, buddy, you're our closer for 2024. Go out there and get him. You're a ninth inning guy. That's all we got. Every once in a while, if we have you high leverage against a lefty, we might have to throw you out there. But the other thing that plays into this too, and we'll evaluate this guy later on in the offseason, Gregory Soto, who's another lefty that's kind of built in the same mold as Jose Alvarado, throws hard, good off speed, had a really rough year because he could not spot anything. Like he showed you how much accuracy matters for pitchers like Jose Alvarado, who did outstanding with it, and Gregory Soto, who did terrible with it. If Gregory Soto can have a bounce back year, he's been an all-star twice in his career, then he becomes the next best lefty reliever and maybe kind of on the same stratosphere as Jose Alvarado when he's at his best. If he can have a great year next year, it's super easy to just say Jose Alvarado's our closer, Gregory Soto's our lefty specialist. You also have Matt Strahm there to potentially do some lefty stuff for you. That would work, but you need some other guys to step up, and you also need a couple additions to the bullpen to make sure that you have what Jose Alvarado would leave as far as innings that he threw outside of the closer role. But I would make him the closer for 2023 or 2024, and then I would fill in the pieces around him. So what do you think? Should Jose Alvarado close for the Phillies in 2024? Should they sign somebody? Should it be somebody else in the bullpen right now? Let me know. And also let me know who you'd like me to evaluate next when it comes to the 2023 player evaluations. Let me know in the comments of this video. And please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff. I really appreciate you checking us out. Locked On Phillies, once again, is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And that's all for today's episode. I'll talk to you next time on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.